What if walking away isn't giving up? Can you think about this statement in a way where it's peace with yourself and not really giving up? Many people think that walking away is failure. I know a lot of people, I even used to think the same way, right? Someone may tell me, Saeed, are you kidding? We need just to be in there. We need to push. Where are you currently stuck today? And is it because you are afraid, or is it because you don't have a purpose around that situation? Marhaba, and how's it going, everyone? And welcome back to Yuwab, a space where we uncover what it takes for you to be a better version of yourself. Always remember, improvements starts within yourself, especially in this demanding world of ours, so that we can thrive and grow in this life. I'm your host, Saeed Alghafri. It really means a lot that you're spending this time with me, and I really want to see you grow, and that drives me to be here with you and make this podcast. One tiny, small ask. Please share this episode if it resonates well with you. And always rate my show on Apple Podcast and Spotify and YouTube as well. Before we begin, I'd like you to sit with this thought for a moment. What if walking away isn't giving up? Can you think about this statement in a way where it's peace with yourself and not really giving up? Can you think about it in a way where it's very much being kind and very much adapting to yourself? You know, many of us were raised to be very much believing that if we stay within it, it means that we are enduring it and we are trying harder and working harder and explaining more, and we sacrifice more for us to basically achieve what we want. But it's not. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The truth is, it's really difficult, you know? Sometimes think of letting go as something that you're walking away and you're not really basically trying harder. But when you let go, you are basically walking away for you to have the best choice, look ahead, and grow. Let's really dive into what this means. Walking away is rarely impulsive. This is something that you won't very much do in your life. You see yourself staying too long in a situation, and you hope that things will change, and you keep explaining the same damn pain that you go through or a situation. You may think that you're adjusting, maybe forgiving, or maybe giving chances or choices. And you hope that you would win that argument or that case. You know, until one day you realize what a waste of time that I spent on this specific thing. And you really cannot admit it until it's really too late. And you know, it's really unhealthy. When you're staying, maybe because you are afraid. You know, you're afraid to hurt someone, or maybe afraid to be misunderstood, or afraid to be seen the one who left the first and losing. Or maybe it's your ego that you have to win, you know? As time passes, you become really exhausted when you stay in the thing. You ignore yourself, you ignore the loved ones, and you exhaust your energy, which is very important for you to basically do the other things in your life. Thinking that when you connect with that specific case, you are the one, but you're not. You know why this is important? Many people think that walking away is failure. I know a lot of people, I even used to think the same way, right? Someone may tell me, Saeed, are you kidding? We need just to be in there. We need to push. We need to do that. Yeah, but to a certain limit and time. And we're going to talk about that. Or maybe you don't really care that much. And that's just too much drama. We always say improvement starts from within, but we really don't really do it. It's basically walking. It's not really walking the talk. But trust me, improvement starts within. You know, don't be sad that you don't care. Think this way when you don't let go. You are really harming yourself and also the people who are around you. Maybe when you are in that situation and you're pushing hard, you become very aggressive to the point that you are demonizing people and you are really thinking that they are not right and you are the one who's right. You are honestly at that situation just draining yourself. You become unavailable to yourself at that moment and that situation. Think of you being stuck and you don't move. You're just in that moment. This is it. That's your limit. And you don't want that. And all the opportunities that are there to support your growth and thrive in this life, you wouldn't see it. And think about the time that you should spend with those who really care about you. That's what happened when you basically don't let go and become very much, in my opinion, selfish when you should just let go. Let me give you a couple examples where you can basically picture what I mean. Here is basically a situation. You stay in a conversation. Let's say you are in a conversation with someone where you know that it wouldn't take you anywhere. You know by in your heart that if you stay in it, it will not take you anywhere. And it reaches a point where it becomes very disrespectful with that other person. What happened at that situation? You feel guilty. You feel guilty that if you step away, you are basically losing. That's one situation. A lot of people stay in that. Another situation, you have a thought in your mind, a silly one. It could be a minor one. Even I didn't basically do that tiny thing. And you live that guilt and you start beating yourself and you start isolating yourself and you don't do the things that you want in life. This is basically something a lot of people do. Or maybe you are with few people or one person whom you are trying to fix, and that other person don't want to take any responsibility. Why are you staying? They don't want to fix themselves. What happens is you tolerate inconsistency because you think that, oh, their potential is there and I need to basically uncover it. But if they don't want it, why even bother? All right? Why bother? Just remember, the longer you stay in all the situations we mentioned, the more you start to let down of yourself and those who you really care about and care about you. Let me share with you a few stories. These are real stories that even happened to you, and I bet that it happened to you, or maybe you saw it. Like most of you, I used to be in the corporate world, but not anymore. And who doesn't love emails? We all love emails. For me, emails are the comfort zone. And every people you tell them don't check your email in the morning, they just go and check their emails. Anyways, that's not the subject of today's episode. There were like two people where I used to work. And these guys, unfortunately, whenever someone makes, let's say, a mistake or something, they go into this email fight. It's just ridiculous what happens. One time, this lasted for longer than everyone thought. Think of those like, the Game of Thrones kind of an example where just two kingdoms are fighting. What happened? One of those people received an email from that peer, with a very much of the wrong acquisition, I would say. And the guy was telling me actually the story of how it started. The guy really could not sleep. Honestly, that person was basically dreaming about how to craft an email that puts all the things that other guy did wrong. What happened next day, he came early in the morning, very much early in the morning. I think before everyone, he even opened the door of the company. He sent that email and copied only two people. All right? Guess what happened? The other guy came and responded At the end of the day, I think he spent the whole day writing that email and then copied more people. And then you know the story. It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until literally the whole company was copied in that conversation. And everyone was trying just to blame the other and not hold everyone and not hold themselves responsible or accountable, you know? And honestly, I think whoever was copied in that email, they were laughing. I bet you. They felt bad in the beginning. They started to basically feel bad for them. They started to laugh. And imagine when they go for a smoke, let's say, I don't know, break or let's say a break or any, let's say a lunch break, they talk about them forever. It honestly took 1 week. All right. And you know what's basically bothering? What was bothering at that time? It took only a call which lasted for a few minutes to make this problem vanish forever. Eventually, no one cared, honestly. I mean, before that was solved, toward the end of the week, no one really cared about what was written in that email, you know? And honestly, because of that, they started to ignore everything else, developing people, all the opportunities that came into into their desks because they were so busy about that email and how they should really craft it. And what happened is it just polluted everyone else with such noise. And it did show that these guys are not leading with the corporate values and the culture impacted at that time. And then guess what happened? When these two guys were fighting, their team started to fighting as well. And oh my God, within that whole week, this specific culture was happening. And it was solved over, as I mentioned, that phone call, which lasted for only 2 minutes. What a waste of time. Really, what a waste of time. Don't you think so? And this happens a lot, and I'm sure you saw it recently in your life. Let me share with you another story. This is a guy that I coached, and the guy came to me and he wanted to grow his business. I remember at that time. And then when we started digging, and when I started digging and exploring why this guy cannot really grow, all right, then I figured out that the guy is very intelligent. Really, the guy is intelligent. He is a self made man, like he made himself from scratch. His main issue was one thing that he could not let go of. And then he didn't tell me, but I had to figure it out myself because he was ashamed to tell me. He basically had one bad incident because with one of his employees at that time. It was unethical, and I understand it was tough on him and difficult at that time. But you know what happened? Because of that specific incident, the guy did not trust anyone. And then I realized, like, oh, that's why he asked me all the questions at the beginning, because he was trying to get comfortable so that he can trust me in the beginning. He started to work solo and doing everything. And I was telling him, come on, man, how do you want to grow like that? You cannot. Look at all the successful people around you. They at least have one person, one person that they can rely on, let alone thousands if you want to scale up your business. And you really need to let go of this old thought. To be honest with you, he knew that he should have let go, but it was really tough on him. It wasn't something easy that he could do. What we did, we basically looked at all the tasks that he does and then identified the transactional work, like the stuff which is invoicing, expediting shipments. Imagine this guy was doing the invoice himself, not even using a software. Like he was literally opening a Word document and putting all the filling the blank, I would say. and expediting the shipments and calling people and calling that and calling this. You can't blame him because he went through that situation. But again, you really have to let go. What happened is he really started to look at the transactional things, the small things, which really didn't impact the important stuff. And then he started to let go slowly. And honestly, he is very much doing well now, which is really good. See, the key here was letting go. So here are three things that will help you let go and shift your mindset. The first thing is clarify the control. What I mean by that is ask yourself, if you have a situation in front of you, is this within your control or is it out of your control? Let me give you an example. Let's say that a new guy joined a company, all right? And this person wants to basically do complete shift in the company. What happens is you have policies and you have a delegation of authority, which are beyond your control. So you have to follow what's written in there. What happens is if you just keep at it, you won't be able to do it because there are policies and there are stuff that are written that you can't change. And these things have been done by people who are above you. Another example. Let's say you're a CEO, and I've been there myself, and you're trying to convince the whole company and your board, that you think that this thing is right. What happens is maybe the board doesn't like it. All right, I'm just saying. Then you're going to come back and keep at it, and then exhaust your whole organizations just to prove to the board that this doesn't work. But they don't want it. That's what happened when you really don't know what you can control within yourself and what is basically out of your control. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which is very important, define a timeline. This gives you the accountability aspect that you want around any situation. And most of us go into the thing without defining a time frame. Just ask yourself, how much time am I allowing for this specific situation, task, or case, or whatever the case is? And ask yourself, if you don't achieve it within that specific time frame, shall we escalate or shall we just close it? Or maybe ask yourself, is it, and this is basically something that happens to me all the time, and I learned it the hard way. Is it the right time that we do it now? Very important. Maybe it's not the time. Maybe you should just do it in a month. And that takes us to the third element, which is now it's the time to step back and shift our attention. What you should do at this moment is just pause and maybe document the case because you can't do anything about it. Or as I said, maybe come to it at a later stage because the time is not really helping. People are going through a lot, people are busy, and now it's not the right time to basically do this thing. And just liberate yourself to do something else. These are three things that if you do, it will shift your mind to let go and do better things in your life. And let me share with you something that I've learned in this life. It's something amazing and very simple, especially if you deal with little kids. Kids usually, when you're upset with them or they've done something not really right and you tell them something and they walk away, they just move away very quickly, honestly. They don't really stay with it. They don't really have the time to be stuck. They just basically have this mindset that I'll move on. And then they're just going to come back and hug you after that. Let's just learn from them the importance of self-gratitude and really, really just let go because that's something that is within your control and it's really very much in my opinion, liberating. Something very important is, when you have self gratitude, you don't really demonize people or yourself. You don't become very dramatic, you know? And think of when you are stuck in a situation, you are not there to really write back the history or do something specific. You don't need to prove anyone wrong. You just want to allow yourself to leave and just walk away from that situation. You know what happens when you do that? You protect your peace. It keeps your heart very much open, and your brain becomes much more focused on other situations and other opportunities. You are winning. Some people think that when they walk away, they are losing. No, you are winning. And it's very much liberating. Try it. Next time you try it, and you're going to see what will happen. It's going to be difficult in the beginning, but it will very much be something that you're going to keep doing and keep doing and keep doing because it's very much liberating. And as we reflect on today's episodes, I'd like you to take a moment and ask yourself, where are you currently stuck today? And is it because you are afraid, or is it because you don't have a purpose around that situation? And what are you hoping that will change? And what part of yourself are you sacrificing to keep at that situation? And if you walk away, what are you going to finally gain? Just be honest with yourself. And those answers will be the start to make you very much walk away. So here is what I want to leave you with today. You are always allowed to leave any situation that is costing you your peace. You are always allowed to choose a distance over dysfunction. And you are always allowed to honor yourself without hatred or being guilty. Next time you let go, you are going to see how it will redirect you to where you want to be so that you can finally grow and thrive in this life. And as always, please share this episode with someone who is really struggling to let go. Who knows, you may be the reason for them to get better in their life. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and rate my show in Apple Podcast and Spotify and YouTube. And until next time, مع السلامة.